name is Garrick West. I'm Coach Tejon in the International Guild of Danse de Rue Savate. I first met Professor Buitron back in 1992. I just gotten my black belt in Kempo from Dick Bowden in Fort Worth, Texas. And Dick had decided to retire and he didn't want to teach anymore. And I wanted to learn a little more about kicking. And some of Dick's other students had learned a lot of Taekwondo and I hadn't done that. And so I started looking for someone who could teach me more about kicking. And at the North Texas Martial Arts in Arlington, Professor Buitron had just returned from France and was teaching Savate. And I have always been an avid reader of martial arts and student of different styles and things. And I went over to check it out and was very impressed. And so I started studying with Professor Buitron. Back then, we were mostly doing boxe française. It was basically what I needed was just basic kicks, all the different kicks in Savate. I was working at an airline at that time, and I injured my back and had to quit for a while. And so I had a previous background in Chinese Shuaijiao and Kempo, ninjutsu, and some other arts. But I laid off for 4 or 5 years, and my training partner was Clyde Castorena, our initiador Neil guy in the guild. And I was talking to him and I realized that Professor Buitron had started, he had moved the SAL to another location in Irving, Texas. So I decided to talk Neil guy into going over there. And it's very interesting that the art had become much more combative. It had become much more street oriented at that time. And it was very interesting. And Professor Neil guy, or not, I'm sorry, initiator Neil guy was very interested in the art, and he and I would practice at my house. I still was having health problems and couldn't work out as much as I would like to, but the art today is even more different than it was back in the late 90s. The professor has introduced his family style of Zapote into the guild, and of all the arts I've studied, Zapote is the most effective, efficient martial art that I've ever studied. I think it's suitable for old, injured, women, men, small people, large people. It's very effective, and I think it's probably the best street-oriented martial art available for anyone to study in the world today. I think it's better than any of the arts I've seen from Southeast Asia, China, Japan, or any other part of Europe. Savate is kind of become a lost art in the world today. The street side of Savate, the self-defense side, is disappearing. And Professor Buitron had realized this back in the 1990s, the early 90s. And he had studied with many of the old masters who were still teaching the street-oriented style in France, Jean-Paul Viviani and Robert Patral, Roger Lafond, and some other people. And the art was named Danse de Rue Savate because it was, in the old days, people would say if you wanted to fight, they just said, you want to dance? And so when, if they say, yeah, well, you just got after it. And Professor Buitron has taken his family style and blended it with Chasson and Lacan and Lute and Savate and synthesized this into a really fantastic street-oriented self-defense style of martial arts. It's a real shame that the training that he got in France is not available to anyone, even in France today. Many of the professors who were teaching the street-oriented arts are no longer teaching. They've all retired. The art is just a shadow of what it was. There are a couple professors who are still active in teaching people, but for the most part, the old style, the street-oriented art is disappearing. And it's kind of ironic, but really fantastic that art is still alive, and it's here in Texas, in Laredo. To me, it's very ironic, but it's fantastic that at least that art is preserved somewhere in the world today.
We just did. Yeah.